Hello, I'm Michelle Robl again, the Prince William County Attorney, and with me is
Courtney Sydnor, Hampton City Attorney.
Courtney and I met each other many years ago through Local Government Attorneys Association because we were in neighboring jurisdictions. She in Loudoun County and I here in Prince William County. So we worked together on various things with regards to local government. And I thought that we could give a little bit of a perspective since Courtney has seen it. We talked with regards to local governments. There's towns and there's cities and there's counties and there's different types of counties. The Commonwealth through the General Assembly has given different powers for a different type of county. But I thought it would be interesting to hear from Courtney the difference between cities and local governing and counties.
Well, it seems like there shouldn't be that much of a difference, and I am surprised where the differences are. It doesn't actually make a whole lot of sense. But I think, cities are more compact, urbanized areas, and so they provide more of the sort of core municipal services. So in the city of Hampton, we provide we're responsible for the water and sewer and trash collection, and they maintain their own roads, and so a much more robust public works department than what you have in the county, where those utilities are more provided by a separate utility authority, or where the roads are maintained by the Virginia Department of Transportation. And so I think it's just sort of a different set of services to some extent that are provided, that cities provide, that counties don't provide. In Loudoun County, the population center was largely suburban. The geographic majority, however, was very rural and very protective of the rural nature of their community. And so there was a significant tension, which I'm sure you can appreciate that in Prince William. So a lot of what we dealt with in Loudoun County was sort of that balance between those two things, and how to balance new development, of which there was a lot, with maintaining sort of an agricultural and rural quality of life in the places where that existed. That's really not so much a concern in a city. Hampton is pretty much fully built out. There's very little what we call greenfield, which is what you would say undeveloped areas. So the focus there is on redevelopment. So you have older buildings and communities that are either vacant or underutilized or definitely in need of revitalization. And so that's really a focus on taking those places and revitalizing them and supporting and encouraging new development and redevelopment in the urban environment.
And with regards to local governments in the Commonwealth, it was explained to me that as the Commonwealth was growing up, counties were much more rural, agricultural, the farm, and the farmers came to the cities to do all the work, to do all the businesses. Fast forward to 2025, I would think that what they call the urban crescent, Northern Virginia through the Richmond area down to the Tidewater area, the counties are basically almost the same as cities.
Yeah.
The rest of the Commonwealth, you have towns, you have counties with the population of maybe one of the magisterial districts here in Prince William, because we're close to 500,000 in population.
Right.
What's Hampton's population?
Gosh, I should know. I think it's about 130,000, something
and
like that.
And Loudoun was?
About 450.
About 450.
Yeah.
So Loudoun County, Arlington County, Prince William County, Fairfax County were kind of outliers with regards to the other counties in the Commonwealth. There's different organizations. There's the Virginia Association of Counties, VACO, and then Virginia Municipal League, which is with the cities and the towns, VML, and they get together working on different areas of interest for counties and localities, etc. But with regards to, as you said, Prince William, we had many years ago a very agricultural, rural crescent. More development is coming on board, as you know, we're in the Northern Virginia area from DC. Fairfax is pretty much built out, so they're coming out our way. We do not provide our water and sewer, but our board of county supervisors appoints the members to our service authority, which now goes by Prince William Water. We don't provide the trash. We do regulate trash haulers, time and the noise issues with regards to that. And our public works is not as robust as a city would. And there's differences with regards to sovereign immunity versus a city versus a county. Different taxing authorities with regards to cities and counties, although that's been leveled out pretty much based on the 2019 General Assembly.
Yeah, I think the taxing authority is pretty much the same, but as you said, the sovereign immunity is very different, and that was one of the challenges I was facing. We have a lot more litigation in the city of Hampton of things that we weren't litigating in Loudoun County, and I'm like, because the sovereign immunity is different. Counties are immune from many more suits than cities are, which seems odd. I'm really not sure why that is. There may have been a historic reason for it, and today it doesn't really seem like it makes a lot of sense, but that's what it is. Even just the way some of the procedural laws, in counties, the practice was, we do a public hearing before every single ordinance is adopted. Your governing body or board of supervisors advertises in the newspaper and has a public hearing, giving the public an opportunity to come and say what they think about the ordinance. Except for zoning ordinances, in cities that is not actually a requirement for all ordinances. And it's a little odd to me, and it was this thing where I'm like, it seems like we should be doing something. So, in cities, you don't have to do a public hearing unless there's a specific statute that says for this thing a public hearing is needed. And it's just different. I think some cities may have in their charter, which is the law that applies specifically to a city, that they're required to do a public hearing for all ordinances. Hampton does not. So it's just little nuances and differences like that, but it's probably not uncommon with if you move from one company to another. You have to learn the differences between those companies, and it's certainly not as big of a difference as, in the law, we learn the state law, and so it would be a much bigger culture shock or adjustment if I were to go and practice law in a different state. You would be almost like starting from zero. There is still the fundamental framework is the same between the cities and counties in Virginia.
And there's not only the variety, the types of work that are within local government offices, local government attorneys' offices, local governments, etc. But there's a uniqueness. Courtney mentioned charters. Cities may have charter, which is basically their governing document. And if they want to change that, they have been chartered by the General Assembly.
Right.
So if they want to change that, they have to go to the General Assembly. Virginia is a Dillon rule state where we often have to go to the General Assembly and ask for permission to be able to do certain things.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get confused dealing with, the layperson out there, the public, maybe even some electeds are confused. Well, wait a second. Hampton can do this. Why can't this jurisdiction?
Yeah.
Why can't that jurisdiction? So you need to look at whether it's a town, a city, a county, what type of county, does it have a charter, etc., and then going to the General Assembly with that. But I think Courtney and I would both agree that local government law is fascinating, invigorating, can be frustrating, like every area, every profession. But you see the good work that you do, and if you're bored in one area, there's other areas within offices that you can go to and work throughout. And as you said, it's fascinating to see the various types of law that can be involved, the various issues that you get involved in, and the different areas of the public, and with you living there that you actually touch upon also.
Yeah,
the acquisition of property for police or fire. We don't represent the schools in our office. We have a separate division council that does that, but we work closely with them with regards to various issues that come on board. But you get to look around and drive around and see the different areas that you've helped the elected to be able to improve for the constituency.
Absolutely. It's when I was interviewing for my job in Hampton, I didn't know much about Hampton as a community, so the city manager and the tourism board director took me around sort of on a tour of the city and showed me lots of the projects and the things that they had been working on, and took me sort of throughout the different residential communities. And it was very, different from what I see in Northern Virginia, but it was also very interesting. I was like, yeah, I would like to, these are types of projects that I would like to work on, and different than the things that I was doing in Loudoun County, but no less interesting, no less challenging. I think for me, probably more of the difference than city versus county has been regions of the state.
Absolutely.
You know, Northern Virginia in many ways is very different than the rest of the Commonwealth. And then the Tidewater region, you know, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, you know, Chesapeake, Hampton, Newport News, that area, it has its own personality.
Absolutely.
And its own issues, and they, you know, while Loudoun, Prince William, Fairfax have commonality of issues, those communities in Tidewater also have a commonality of issues. Water is a much bigger impact there than it is here in Northern Virginia, obviously. Their relationship with the state is different. And even the relationship with the federal government is different. I mean, Northern Virginia has a big federal contracting community, and also people who have historically, you know, worked in D.C., you know, for the federal government. But in that region, in the Tidewater region, it is military. Every locality in that area has significant military presence. In Hampton, we have NASA there. I'm, you know, a little bit ashamed to say that I didn't realize the whole Hidden Figures movie was based in Hampton, and that all of those women who were featured in that movie are basically heroes, you know, historical figures in the city of Hampton. And it's very interesting to go in because it's a smaller community than what I was used to in Loudoun. That everybody knows each other, and it's very engaged, and it was interesting to me that you can be practicing law for so long, doing a particular type of law for so long, and still every day still learning something different and experiencing something different. So I talked about in my prior segment, I said, you know, I've always told people that Loudoun County is the best job I ever had, and I've been in my new job with Hampton for not quite a year, and I don't want to cut them short. You know, I'm, you know, learning something new every single day, even after having practiced local government for 15 years at this point. And so I think that's really, you know, a fantastic opportunity.
Absolutely. The variety of the different subjects that local government touches on with regards to it. And in local government, you can be a one-woman, one-man shop, or you can be, you know, Fairfax, which I think has 40-plus attorneys in their office. But through our careers, we've been involved in various organizations that have assisted us in different ways. I'm sure if you're a law student or a new lawyer in the profession, you know, we would encourage you to get involved in the various bar associations, whether it's your local city, county bar association. Prince William has a robust one. I'm a member of the VWAA, the Virginia Women's Attorneys Association. There's IMLA, which is the International Municipal Lawyers Association. Obviously, the Virginia State Bar has different segments. The real property section, they have a local government section. And Courtney and I are both involved heavily with something called the LGA, the Local Government Attorneys Association. It's an association of city, county, town attorneys. We get together twice a year for a conference in the spring and the fall, and then a regional one in the summer, putting on at least 9 hours of CLE. We have a very robust LGA listserv where it's throwing it out, the commonalities. It's just a great group of people that support each other, that may have similar issues. As I said, we're celebrating our 50th anniversary here. I can't even imagine 50 years ago the founders of our organization getting together and thinking, hey, you know, we got a lot of commonalities here. Let's get together and join together. I was past president of LGA. You're going to be ascending to...
I'll be vice president of LGA as of September. And let's go ahead and put out a pitch. As Michelle mentioned, we do conferences twice a year, and we do have a law student scholarship program for law students to be able to come and join our conference and get a lot of CLE credit, but it's also an amazing networking opportunity. We just had our LGA board retreat last week, and there was a lot of discussion about that. The CLE is fantastic. It's, geared specifically towards the local government issues. But to me, the major benefit of LGA and what sets it apart from other associations that you may be a part of is the camaraderie and the networking and the professional support. I mean, I have said that the job of being a local government attorney would be infinitely harder without having the LGA. And so if local law students out there who might be interested in a career in local government or just figuring out what it's about, absolutely, please consider applying for one of those scholarships to attend an LGA conference. We'd love to have you. And as I said on my prior segment, many local government offices do host law students in our offices, either as interns during the summer or during the school year. So it's a great opportunity to get some practical experience in just about any area of law that you might be interested in, but also specifically to learn more about local government and work with some fantastic lawyers. I mean, I will say that when I moved from Loudoun to Hampton, it was a bit intimidating to go from someplace where I had been for 14 years and where I had developed a whole network and 14 years of institutional knowledge, and moving to an entirely different part of the state and having to be in charge of an office. And for me, what has been the best part about it is the fantastic staff in the Hampton City Attorney's Office. So shout out to any of my staff who may be watching this, but I point that out not just to brag on my staff, but to say that you are going to be working with a lot of really smart, capable people if you pursue a career in local government, and make no mistake about it. And you are going to be negotiating with or litigating against the biggest law firms, the smartest attorneys, the most capable attorneys in the Commonwealth. So if what you think you want is a very sophisticated, complex, interesting practice, rest assured you will absolutely get that in local government.
Absolutely. When I was interviewing with the board to be appointed the county attorney, I said, contrary to what I tell my niece and nephews, I don't know everything, but our office can find out the answer to anything. It's a great group. We're lucky enough to have a larger office, but I think the camaraderie, the support, and I echo what Courtney said. We've historically had law clerks in our office in the summer. We're close enough to several law schools here in Prince William County, and we've actually had some externships where you can get your credit class towards your law school there, working for us during the school year. We coordinate with the law schools, their career placement programs there. But LGA has a great program support with regards to the spring, the regional, the fall conference, coming and seeing. And I would encourage you, dip your toe into multiple areas. Try and see what are the different types of law. You may have gone to law school thinking this is the type of thing I want to do, and you start doing it, and it may not be piquing your interest, and you may be thinking this is maybe not what I want to do. So in your time in law school and early in your career, check out different areas to see what it is that piques your interest. Give local government a try. If you're interested in real estate, there's multiple aspects of real estate that you can do in local government.
Absolutely. I don't know, what else can we say? We can brag about local government
we can
law
brag about our offices
forever. Michelle, I mean, this is for the real estate section, so maybe we should, just quickly touch on some of the more interesting real estate or land use type of projects going on. So what's hot in Prince William County or interesting in Prince William County in the world of real estate?
What's hot and interesting in Prince William is the excess that Loudoun started with regards to data centers. Loudoun County being the center of the universe with regards to data centers, and Prince William is dealing with the data center growth, and we're dealing with extensive litigation with regards to the data center industry. But we're not just data centers. We are the most diverse county in the Commonwealth. We have had, and I want to touch also on our electeds. We are interested in the work that we do, but the work we do is to serve our board or the city council. And these are people, members of the public, that get involved, and I don't think that the public realizes how much time and effort the elected governing bodies put into it, day in and day out, for what a lot of people consider as part-time. But the work, the dedication, the devotion, A prior county attorney said to me, you may think before getting into a board meeting where the votes may line up on something, but it's fascinating when you get them all together. They become a totally separate, different entity, and you never know how the votes are going to be until you see the lights light up on the board.
Yeah.
But the dedication and commitment of local government electeds, because you may not have as much contact with your state elected officials or your federal elected officials, but you can go down the street to your local government body elected, city council, board of supervisor, and talk to them about issues of concerns and the constituencies. So it's always fascinating, and to help them do what their vision is. Right. And their vision evolves.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess in Hampton, as I said before, we're working on a lot of redevelopment projects, public-private partnerships, trying to get in more housing. As I said, we have a large military presence, NASA presence, and I've heard our city managers say frequently, they need more housing. They need more housing.
Absolutely.
To
housing is a huge
meet the needs
issue
of their personnel. I mean, that's an issue everywhere, and so it should seem like it's so simple.
Exactly.
But it's not, and there's never any why don't you just go build this thing? There are so many permutations to it, and it's interesting that you mentioned data centers, because yes, in my time at Loudoun County, I was dealing with something with data centers virtually every day, and quite frankly, when I moved to Hampton, I was happy not to have to talk about data centers really at all. Although recently it's started to trickle up. Chesapeake, the city of Chesapeake just denied a big data center project recently. And somebody was mentioning something about data centers in Hampton just this week, and I said, you know what? Slow down, because there are absolutely lessons that can be learned here, and we need to talk about that. And so, I may not be getting away from it. I don't know, but
as long as digital presence, AI, wanting to do your Google search within 1 second, we're going to be dealing with data centers. And talking about AI, that impact on the legal profession, brand new attorneys are a lot different from how it's going to be happening. And here in Prince William, we also have a very robust military presence. We've got Marine Corps Base Quantico here, and Fort Belvoir is close to us in Fairfax, and working together with the Marine Corps on different aspects, civilian, military, how that interplays with the constituency is a fascinating aspect of local governments, where you are in the Commonwealth.
Yeah. Absolutely. So
if you're interested, call Courtney, call me. We'll be happy to talk with you, chat with you. I was lucky enough just to fall into this. I went to law school wanting to be a litigator, and thankfully there was a position open. And then when I was doing the child abuse and neglect for 7 years, and I knew that area of the law, and I felt comfortable in it, and my then boss said, I want to move you out. I need you in another aspect. And I was like, you're taking me out of my comfort zone.
Oh my gosh, I've had that exact experience. What are you doing to me?
She's like, do you want it or not? But get out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Try the different areas. You will enjoy it. You will be very proud of the work that you do. I think we're all proud of the work that we do in assisting the electeds. And it's never a dull day.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.